Hello, Taurus, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of October 5th through the 11th. And during that time, we'll have the full moon energy that comes in on the 7th, but you might feel that energy a couple of days before and after, and then into the waning gibbous energy. So the full moon energy is definitely heightened emotions. Sometimes you can feel overwhelmed, maybe a little bit anxious. Some people can get snappy or irritable, of course, during a full moon. You might have changes in your sleeping patterns. So there's just a lot of high energy that goes on, and it kind of just puts the light on things, right? Then we move into the waning gibbous energy, which is a little calmer, a better time for self reflection and rebirth, and a good time to make positive changes and get rid of negative thinking and bad habits. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Taurus. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is, what do you need to release? All right. And of course, that card is about the waning moon. So, a good time to think about that. After that full moon is what you need to let go of. Again, that self reflection time. So, something to think about. My fun reminder for the week, Taurus, is that you get out in nature. So, take a walk in the woods, maybe find a park with a nice view. Just take the time to really stop and connect with the miracle of nature. Oops, excuse me, we got cards coming out. We will take that one. What was I saying? Oh, so getting out in nature, maybe study a tree or a plant. We're kind of getting into fall season. That's really pretty in some parts of the country now. And that'll be getting, more and more colorful as we move through autumn here. But if you're around water, get somewhere where you can listen to that water. Just any way to get out and connect with the miracle of nature. So that is just my fun weekly reminder for you this week. All right, Taurus, let's get into this reading, October 5th through the 11th. What do you need to release? And your overall present energy right now is the Five of Swords. So it looks like there might be, some sort of conflict or something going on. Um, what I'm trying to think, are there words that have been exchanged? Maybe feelings have been hurt. This could be words that you've said or words that maybe others have said. But yeah, these swords, swords is like their air energy. So, words that are kind of going around, and maybe you've said some things, but you held some things back. Maybe someone said something to you, but held some things back. So, just it's kind of a misunderstanding there. But that's kind of the basic energy that you're going through right now at the moment. What is your current situation? Is the Queen of Pentacles. So this is, you sitting in this energy of kind of understanding and maybe even learning how the world works around you when it comes to words and things that are coming out. And this, of course, could template over, a work situation or a situation with your friend group or a situation in a relationship. It's just that, words are exchanged, and, it's about learning how the material world works, and kind of just understanding that. At the root of your situation is the Queen of Swords. So, I feel like this is you in this energy of saying the thing that needed to be said, and you went ahead and said it. And maybe that's kind of what's caused a little bit of the ruckus here, is just you being very logical and saying the thing. No apologies there about that. People just need to learn how to, kind of take that in and understand when the truth is the truth. It's the truth. Nothing you can do about that. In your recent past is the Two of Pentacles. So, this is you kind of learning how to get your footing as things go up and down, how to kind of keep all the balls in the air. Which could be, again, this could be about a work situation. This is you just learning. It's learning the ropes, learning how to keep things going. Of course, this could also just be in your home, your life situation, of just learning how to just juggle everything, how to keep your house clean while you're on time for work, or doing big work projects and keeping things going at home. So it's just, but that's kind of the period that you're coming out of, is maybe working on that struggle, maybe working on how to kind of make things balance a little bit more in your life. What is on your mind this week is the Two of Wands. So you're definitely thinking about the future and thinking about, the things that you're working on. It looks like you've maybe achieved some sort of goal and you're wondering, do I stay here? Do I go bigger? And that's definitely something that's on your mind this week in one way or another, is just kind of thinking about, now that I'm learning these things and how things work with people, with me, being my logical self and how to balance things, I'm thinking, oh, well, can I take on more? Maybe yes, maybe no. That'll be determined, but you're definitely thinking about that, like what's ahead of you for the future. In your advice position, or I'm sorry, what's just ahead of you this week is the 10 of Pentacles. So you're definitely thinking about kind of your long term, um, wealth and security when it comes to, things like money, things like, where you live, what these decisions mean for you. Look at all these pentacles that are coming up here. It's definitely on your mind, and it could be that money's on your mind, how to make more money, how to manage that money, but those are things that you're thinking about. You're kind of thinking about those long-term goals a little bit this week. In your advice position is the Knight of Swords. So, I'm going to say when it comes to communication and messaging, you have to be swift about things, and you probably have to be swift about words that you say, but messaging, and make sure that you're saying the things that are on your mind in a logical way, but saying them quickly. Don't let things fester. Go ahead and get things out there. Say what needs to be said. This does seem like some sort of quick messaging that you need to be doing. I mean, that's in your advice position. It's be quick about it. Don't linger on things. Go ahead and say the thing that is on your mind. What is beyond your control this week is a little bit of celebration here with the Three of Cups. So, okay, looks like a good week. I mean, that's kind of beyond your control. I mean, these are things you're thinking about. I don't know if there's a whole lot of action that's going on. This is more about, again, thinking about the future, thinking about money with the future, messaging, that sort of thing. But, something to celebrate. It's kind of beyond your control that you're also going to, in the midst of all of this, probably releasing something, which could be a message or something that needed to be said, getting it out on the table. But there's a celebration that comes with that as well, that you feel good about it. What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid, is another three here with the Three of Pentacles. So we do have some repeating numbers. We'll go over those before we finish up here. But what this is your big question. Is it your secret desire to collaborate with others, to make things move forward, or are you trying to avoid collaboration? So that'll be your big question of the week. You need to ask yourself. And is that, again, that can also be a card of work related things. A lot of pentacles showing up in this. I feel like for a lot of you, this will be, kind of a work related situation. In your outcome this week, more pentacles. So feeling a little bit like an outsider towards the end of the week with something related here with pentacles. I mean, I don't know how many more pentacles we can show on here. You need to look up angel number 22, but also 33 with those repeating numbers coming up. So the other thing, I always like to look at what are we not seeing in your, oh no, I guess we do have some cups. I take that back. There are a little bit of cups here with some celebration. I think at some point this week, you just kind of go, let it go and just have a good time and relax, and that's okay. Even though this stuff seems kind of stressful and you're having these thoughts about your future and long-term things, I think it all kind of comes out in the wash, and you're happy about it at the end of the week. We may need to question why you're feeling like an outsider by the end of the week, and see where that goes. I mean, that just might be where all of this ends up. It could be that you what is this thinking about your future here? Is there some reason that you're going to end up kind of feeling like an outsider there? Not sure. Let's see what's hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck. Is the Hierophant, which is our card about guidance. And, a lot of times this can be in a spiritual way, but a lot of times too, it's just someone that's, older and wiser than you, and that's hidden from you. So maybe you do need to seek that out a little bit this week as you're asking these questions and thinking about long-term things, or thinking about long-term changes, having, thoughts about this. It looks like you're trying to use your logic. There's also a little bit of, just, again, we started off with just words being exchanged, swords, messages, things being exchanged between people, and maybe a little bit of misunderstanding about why, but you are going to solidly come through with a message that you're going to be very quick about. So But yeah, this tarot's a template, but in this case, I do feel like this may be work related because there's just so many things, and it's about collaboration. And I see so many other people in these cards with you. Typically this represents family, but this can be work. And I see this, I just see that there's a lot of people involved. There's like a lot of talk, a lot of things going around, going back and forth. And why you're feeling like an outsider at the end of it, I'm not sure, but do keep that in mind. It'll make more sense to you, I'm sure, than it does to me on the table. So let's see what the Soul Oracle deck says. Taurus for the week of October 5th through the 11th. The creative, no. Okay. So it looks like there might be a time when you do have to use the creative, no. Interesting. This could be here with this quick messaging that maybe you're just going to have to say no to something and do it creatively, which I'm sure you're capable of. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care this week, which might have something to do with hanging out with your friends to relax a little bit. Like, you can't be just so stressed about work that you don't take the time for yourself to go, it's just work, right? All right, let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care for Taurus. The card that you get is change. A resistance to change is a resistance to life itself. Open your heart and mind to new beginnings. Okay, so there might be some sort of change in the cards for you, it looks like. Again, we'll have to question, what this feeling like an outsider. I'd be very curious to know what that would be, but there's a lot of pentacles. Again, this could be work related. And what is it that you need to release? Is there something that you're learning through all of this? Is there some false belief that you've had through all of this that you do need to release? Like, the when you learn a lesson, you do have to release kind of that old way of thinking, that old way of being to adopt the new thing that you're learning, if that makes any sense. So, Taurus, I wish you the best of luck with this week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a message down below. Let me know, was there something going on this week that was work related that had you thinking about your future and thinking about things long term? Did you get together with some friends to relax about this a little bit? And what was it that you did need to release this week? So I'd be very curious to know that. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment and let me know. Also, I do post readings every week, so come back next week and we'll see if this situation evolves or continues. I'm curious still about how you end up at the end of this feeling like an outsider, but next week's cards might continue that story and tell us that. If you like my reading style, of course, please hit like and subscribe, because I'll be here next week, and again, it'll help you find me, and we'll come through and let's see if we can get to the other side of the story, because I'm very curious about what is happening there. So thanks so much, Taurus. Good luck with this, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.